So in this episode, and I've chosen my Go Get 'em Tiger, I vicariously sort of live through the through the wording or the picture of my mugs. As I say, a picture paints 1,000 words. So Go Get 'em Tiger. And when I was asking people about what might be interesting to hear me share, lots of people said, like, how are you so positive? Like, why, how do you maintain your positivity when, you know, there's been a lot of buses all at once? Life was pretty easy going, and then it really wasn't for a really, intense period of time. Navigating brain tumours, divorce, then we had COVID. We all went through that. That was a delight. Children out of school. My daughter trying to get her an EHCP, which they said that we'd never get, and finding a alternative provision, and all the stuff that goes on. And one of the dogs died, and I mean, it was just this catalogue of like, oh wow, keep them coming. Like, how do I maintain my positivity? And I think when I was thinking about this, very briefly, I was thinking, what am I positive? Like, what actually is positivity? Because I hate toxic positivity, where you pretend everything's fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine. That's basically just a shutdown for don't touch me, don't talk to me, because I'm really not fine. So I'm not into toxic positivity at all. But I'm a realist, and I'm really pragmatic, and I really trust myself to deal with the fallout. So my positivity, I feel, is steeped in, why would I choose not to think about things in a positive light, in a good light? How does it serve me, for want of a better word, those kind of annoying sentences that people use, but how does it serve me better to think of the doom and gloom, the fear, the worry, the judgment, the what ifs? It doesn't give me any benefit. So naturally, I just choose not to think about that. And that doesn't mean that I don't recognise that there are challenges and there are things that could really go belly up, and not everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows, but I don't expect it to either. I'm all right with the highs and the lows. So on my Instagram page, you'll see me napping every day. That's a massive pain in the arse because I've got really bad fatigue. Completely curtails my day, what I love doing. I mean, it's complete pain. But it's just part of this chapter. And that's okay. It's just how it is right now. And nothing lasts forever. So it's just a moment in time. And if that enables me to do the bit in the afternoon and the evening, then actually that's not a bad thing, because I've got a strategy to be able to manage my tiredness. And that is to have a sleep. I don't push on through and feel annoyed. I just have a sleep, and then it's all right. So my positivity is partly, I think I've always been like this. I don't think I've ever seen the kind of glass half empty approach as being anything that I've sort of signed up to. But I do have some techniques and tools that I use to just keep me in check, whether that's, positivity, or whether it's just not allowing myself to go down the route of neggy Nelly. Not that anyone called Nelly is negative, but you get my drift, right? So things that I do is I separate what is actually going on and what I might feel might be going on. So like when you're thinking about something that feels really down, like you get a second diagnosis, like that came out the blue, walking the dog. They thought I already knew that the brain tumour had grown back. I didn't. And, very nice woman on the phone said, well, with the regrowth. And I was like, what? Hold up. Like, what regrowth? That was I was kind of like gold medals all round. That was a part of my life. Done, dusted. Wow, didn't I do fucking well? Brilliant. And then it was back. And I was like, oh, right. Okay, I really wasn't expecting that. That was a difficult one to swallow. Did I feel positive about it? No, I felt really fucked off, to be honest, because I was like, it wasn't meant to be coming back, and it wasn't meant to be coming back if even if it did until another 20 years, and it was actually 2.5 years. So that trust in myself, I was like, well, maybe I have kind of overplayed this. Maybe I'm not out of the woods, actually. How do I maintain that positivity when suddenly things felt like they were really rocked? Is I thought about the fact that at least I knew. At least that meant that I was under surveillance. At least they were I was on their records as being somebody who needed to be checked in on. And that doesn't take away the enormity of the difficult times, but it does give me some peace that I don't need to go racing down a woe is me, everything's doomed and gloom, now I'm going to die. Because the reality is, actually, with the type of tumour I've got, that really isn't the case. I know that's not the case for everybody with different types of brain tumour, sadly. So I think it's having an ability to be able to recognise that life is full of ups and downs. Like, nobody is exempt from anything. And we all experience things in a different way, and nobody is more right or wrong than the other person. So we leave the judgment at the door. We leave that sort of comparison as the thief of joy. We don't think, oh, well, it could be worse. It could be better as well. So that's just futile. And we don't think about, things only getting worse and, how bad things are, because we will find things to tell us, yeah, we're right. We seek to find experiences that reaffirm our beliefs. So whilst I don't think, yay, everything's sunshine and roses, I do think there is always something in this dark place which is good. And so I am choosing actively to focus on that more than the difficult times. And I love laughing. It's not a deflection. And I've read quite a lot about this, about deflection and laughter being sort of a hand-in-hand thing to basically not confront the reality of what's going on. But there's also studies to show that that's not also necessarily the case, and that laughter can be a great medicine for managing a situation where actually, what does it do to serve you by not finding things funny? Because often in the darkest corners, there's some really, really funny stuff. We've just got to look for it. And I actively make a point of looking for the funny stuff. Some of that funny stuff can be quite dark, but but it works for me. So I think it's in terms of how to keep positive in difficult times, or not feel like it's, a doom and gloomy sort of scenario you're in, is not to ignore what you're going through. It's to accept that the situation you're in is happening, and what you can do to focus on the bits that are going to help you. It doesn't help you to look down, feel down. It helps you more to think, okay, well, this is going on right now, but that in amongst this all, there is something that brings me joy, the pockets of joy. There is always something. I can be crying my eyes out because I'm just so fucking exhausted, and everything feels like it's just overwhelming, and hormones are going mental, and, something really, tiny has just tipped me over the edge. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to allow myself to really lean into feeling really sad for a minute, like, whoa. And then I'm going to go, all right, I've done that now. Staying there isn't going to help me. But going outside and looking for something that gives me joy is going to bring me out of that, and counterbalances the challenges with, it's not all bad. There might be some really difficult bits, but there is still some glimmers of good. And I recognise that there is a group of people who are going through really difficult times, and they will be systemically difficult times, and that's really, really difficult to find the glimmers. But for the vast majority of us, this opportunity to be able to flip the script and think, okay, well, how can I deal with this in a more positive way, which ultimately helps us, ultimately makes us feel better about a dark situation. And for me, it would also be brain dumping. Like those thoughts that whiz round in your head that you can't get out of your head, that you're like, oh my God, waking up at 3:00 in the morning, the 3:00 in the morning thing. Have a notebook, get these little tools in place where you've got a notebook by the side of your bed. And even if you can't see and you never read it again, it's not about that. It's about getting it out of your head instead of circling and going round and round and round. You put it in a notebook. Meditation has been really good for me. And actually I've done a couple of courses in meditation, and my brain is all over the shop. So I'm like squirrel, off to the next thing. So the idea of realizing that it's not about making your mind quiet, I was like, oh, right. Okay. This is much more available to me, because I'm not trying to quieten my mind. I'm trying to recognize that I don't need to hang on to the thoughts. So if you imagine that you're sitting underneath a bridge and your thoughts are the cars going over the top of you, it's like, instead of just jumping in like Dukes of Hazzard and clinging onto the door and trying to get in and like woohoo down the highway, down the motorway, you can just recognize that those thoughts are going to come and go, and that's okay. They're like clouds passing above you. Just let them go. You don't need to hang on to them. You're not trying to block the road from any cars going down it. You're not trying to have a completely clear mind. You're not trying to have a completely clear sky. You're just not needing to hang on to those thoughts. And that really helps me stay in a positive mindset, because when those dark thoughts or those worrying feelings come over me, I don't need to hang on to them. That doesn't help me unless I have a strategy to deal with them. And I really recognize what's in my control. So I've talked before about the control bubble, like what is in my control? My beliefs, my feelings, my reactions, that's mine. Like I have ownership of that. Like that's my choice. It's easier to think it's not, but it is. And if something can't be affected by my beliefs, my thoughts, and my reactions, then there's nothing I can do about it. So I can choose to see something with a brighter pair of glasses on, even on a grey day. So they're things that really help me. I recognise that things don't stay forever. Nothing is forever. Time always passes. Things that we thought were so important and so upsetting and so like massively impacting in our lives when we were 6, because we couldn't take the dinosaur or that book to school and it was like the end of the world. At that time it was really sad, difficult, bad, upsetting. But do I remember it now? No. So there are loads of things that I've, since reading my blogs, that I've at that time was so like massively going on for me. I don't remember those now. So if you allow yourself to recognize that time always passes and that you don't need to hang on to everything so tightly, because it doesn't serve you. And in fact, you have a choice to cling on to something more positive, see the funny side, recognize the kindness around you, think about the impact, the positive impact that you can have in the world around you, in the community that you live in. That feels good. And when we feel good about ourselves, we show up in a better way for ourselves. So a positive mind frame can be learned. And if you naturally find that you're somebody who spirals into a negative pattern of thinking, then I'd really encourage you just to think you don't have to do everything all at once. It's not like you're going to suddenly wake up tomorrow and you're going to be like, right, everything's great, because it's not that everything's great. You're not telling yourself everything is great. What you're recognizing is this is a moment in time, and some of it you have control over. And that's really encouraging. I find that really fuels my tank to go, actually, I have got some control over this. I have got some say in how this bit of the show plays out. And that choice is whether I choose to go, poor me, or I go, well, hey, here we go. Let's see how this works out. And for me, I would rather do that. Everybody loves a negative story. And especially in the UK, we're not great at being positive about things. It's all seemed a bit like, ooh, it's a bit, all right, play it down. Ooh, better with the doom and gloom. How's the weather? Rubbish. I do that a lot, but that's because it normally is. So it's a fact, which is different. But to keep a positive mindset and to spread positivity and not allow other people's neggy-nelly attitudes to seep into yours, because that's your control bubble, is actually a really powerful place to be. And then you let go of the stuff that holds you back, the negative stuff. I don't let negative stuff come into my world. I have like these gatekeepers, like no neggy-nellies allowed. I'm not here for it. It's exhausting. It's boring. It's so boring being around negative people. And I've worked with clients who have really bravely said, I'm that negative person. I've become that negative person that people don't want to be around. And I think that's the thing, when you heighten your awareness to how am I showing up for myself? How am I showing up for other people? Is this how I want to be? Because once you know how you want to be and how you're showing up, then you're in a brilliant position to go, okay, what do I need to do differently? And what's going to feel achievable and doable? And actually, how do I do it? And that's what I do with my clients. I'm giving you the practical how-tos, not the, fluff and buggery. It's the actual stuff that works. So positive, yes. Toxic positivity, absolutely no, never. Always acknowledge what you're going through. But you don't have to stay in that place. What can you actively do about it? And sometimes it might feel like there isn't anything you can do, in which case, don't give yourself more stuff to do. Go and watch some Netflix. Turn the pressure off. Do something fun. Don't hang around with people who who fuel the negative fire. You just don't need it. You just don't need it. So, yeah, get curious. Get curious about how could you show up for yourself in a more authentically positive way. And when you catch yourself being negative, is it because it's giving you something, it's bringing you something, it's reaffirming something to you? And if so, why does that matter to you? And I suggest that if it doesn't matter to you, sometimes we want to have that sort of feeling of the gravitas of the situation we're in, and we want to make sure people know it's really bad, because then they feel sorry for us and then we get the support we need. So there's a whole connection there. But essentially what we show up for ourselves with is a strength of mind and a strength of self. And if we can do that in a positive way, you really do reap the benefits, irrespective of the outcome. But the journey is better. So I hope that's resonated with you, and that you found some ways that you might be able to implement into your own life, of being able to think about things in a more healthily positive way. And definitely let me know in the comments if there are any things that have worked for you that perhaps have taken you out of a negative head spinning place and put you into a more positive frame of mind. And I will see you in the next episode. So if you've loved what you've heard, I would really appreciate you subscribing, sharing it with your friends, family, colleagues, waifs and strays. They are all welcome here. You can click the subscribe button, and in the episode description there is going to be a link where you can get in touch with me, and I'm here for it. So get in touch. I would love to hear from you and see how I can help you.